After working through all the chakras without changing their meditative posture, a yogi can activate any chakra at will, experience its state, and give and take its energy. This practice is known as chakra breathing. Breathing with the 7 bodies. At first, breathing is done in the normal way, which corresponds to the physical body. But the next step is for a person to purify the etheric, which outlines the contours of the physical body. As you breathe in, the etheric body contracts, and as you breathe out, it expands. At this point, a yogi feels as if a viscous and malleable mass is swirling around them. Breathing with the vital body, the yogi enters into an egg-shaped, radiant cocoon. On entering it with the inhalation, the light sways and compresses within this center. On the exhalation, the light expands and forks, creating magnetic feelings. As the yogi starts to breathe with the astral body, they feel euphoric and more subtle feelings of ecstasy. The mental body feels like all-comprehensive consciousness and perceives waves of thoughts entering and leaving. At the causal level, it is as if the universe and your being are at the very center of creation. The nirvanic body is experienced as the consciousness of the absolute, the all that is. When breathing with the etheric body, the breath naturally becomes very slow. But when breathing through all the other bodies, the breath becomes imperceptible or completely disappears and remains only the pulses, which also disappear when we breathe through the causal and nirvanic bodies. As you breathe with the 7 bodies, their qualities and superpowers reveal themselves. The secret of this breathing lies in the mantra, Soham. As you inhale, concentrate on the chakra, which corresponds to that particular subtle body, repeating the mantra, So-I. As you exhale, feel your body expand and chant the second part of the mantra, Hum, I-He. At first, a yogi focuses their attention on breathing into the lower bodies and then begins working with the higher ones in turn. Whilst breathing on the level of the physical body, every organ of the body becomes saturated with prana from the bottom to the top. At this point, the organs, liver, heart, kidneys, etc., start feeling very well. Feel how each organ works. On the inhalation, energy flows into the organ, and on the exhalation, it spreads through it. You can communicate with this organ, giving it encouragement and direction to work well. However, this applies to all the organs except for the heart, which you can only gently persuade. An organ can improve the way it works by obeying your order. In this way, a yogi learns how to control their body, lie on a bed of nails, fast for extended periods, etc. As you learn to feel the organs, you can also start to feel the bodily systems: circulatory, lymphatic, nervous, muscular, osseous, and so on. To help in this, it is good to study anatomy first. Work with these systems is also in the same way as with the filling up of energy. As you breathe through the etheric body, you will feel the energy channels and the movements of prana all over your own body, like hot and cold waves. It is very important to fill the patient's body up with energy and work with it as we did with the organs. Work on each meridian separately. Meridians can be felt clearly when the body is deeply relaxed. When you are able to feel the etheric body, you will learn Genju. Not only by the channels, but you will by yourselves learn all the laws and principles of its action. Whilst breathing with the vital body, you will feel and see all the larger and smaller chakras, other people's auras, larvae, and energetic connections that cause sickness. When you can feel the vital body like a sphere around you, You will be able to sense if there are any dents or holes in it. The blocks, all foreign entities that intrude into the aura, vampires, as well as points where prana is being drained out and either through energetic holes or connections or curses, vampirism, drudgery, etc. When breathing with the astral body, a person begins to feel astroplanetary influences and waves coming from the stars and planets. A person's health, all breakouts of epidemics, wars, and disasters are all closely connected with the astrological influence of the heavenly bodies. They also affect biorhythmic shortfalls and surpluses of energy in our bodies, and increase our predisposition to disease of many kinds. Although the source of a disease or misfortune lies inside a person, they always come to us from outside. On a physical level, the carriers of illness at the physical level are viruses and bacteria. On the subtle levels, they are particles of destructive energy, such as hostile entities, phantoms, and thought forms. These penetrate our subtle bodies and create our inner states, depression, fear, aggression, and so on, causing diseases or instigating actions that bring on disaster and suffering. These elements are activated by influences of the stars and planets. Illness-causing factors are usually of a vital, ethereal nature. The best protection against their invasion is the higher vibrational astral body. When a person is filled with faith, reverence, and devotion, they will never fall ill, even when they are confined within a contagious area. For example, many merciful souls have selflessly looked after people who suffered from leprosy, cholera, or the plague, without even suspecting that a hostile element had invaded them when they had become aggressive, tired, or anxious. They simply believed that these states were their own, just as they believed that wishes aroused by these entities were manifestations of their own will. In reality, a person is incapable of making these wishes come true. The person sustains them and, in practice, becomes prey of these elements. Yet a person who has self-discipline and cultivates morality and virtues will recognize when these elements attempt to invade, and will actively struggle against them and banish their negative states by using their moral power. The spiritual person should first clearly differentiate between good and evil. All negative feelings, depraved wishes, which all religions recognize, are evil and lead to ill health. To avoid fanaticism, I will add that the main thing is to learn to master one's own self and control one's feelings, rather than suppressing them. Feelings are energy, and they should be used logically. For any evil can come good. From anger, we can gain selflessness. From fear, circumspection. From passion, love. The struggle against negative elemental invasion should be done in the following way. As you feel the onset of a negative state, appeal directly to the highest divine powers and begin to breathe with the astral body, inhaling a positive state, opposite to the offending negative state, i.e., laziness, cheerfulness, and exhale the negative one. At the lower level of this practice, the process should be accompanied by normal breathing. As you breathe, you have to draw the positive and reject the negative without creating stress. The process of breathing out should be accompanied by the singing of mantras, for example, Amitofo, the name for the Buddha of healing, Amitabha, as well as by a strong visualization and positive affirmation. You have to learn to differentiate between feelings and states and also their connections with planets as you breathe with the astral body. After that, you will have to learn how to come into and get out of any negative or positive state by the previously described method, which will help you to imagine the opposite situation, evoke positive states by imagining corresponding situations and also everyday occurrences. High morality is always a good protection from all diseases, as long as morality is not a cover for weakness and helplessness, fears and uncertainty. Blessed be the one who inhales peace with love, and who feels love for it. Aum. As you breathe with the mental body, an awareness of the 12 informational tides governing the world is aroused, which have been described in esoteric astrology. Each of them influences a person and creates their predisposition to a corresponding world perception and the reaction to it, and this, in turn, can create the predispositions for corresponding diseases. Each image of one's self is a culmination of the astrological archetypes, which have predispositions to particular diseases. It is the same for a person who is influenced by particular ideas and is subject to their corresponding fate and suffering. It is necessary to understand the idea on which his personality, his I, is based, and to learn to enter the contrary to those idea states and to adjust the personality accordingly. For example, a Taurus will have a tendency towards stability, acquisition, and domesticity. Any instability in their outer world can make them severely stressed and sick. For a Gemini, it is exactly the opposite. They like change, and monotony oppresses them. The Scorpio accepts the virtue of sacrifice in direct contrast to the Taurian's appetite for accumulation. The ability to shift mental archetypes brings an end to the suffering they condition us to. The causal and nirvanic bodies. Breathing with the highest bodies is achieved at the most elevated levels of development. That is why this knowledge will be given only to adherents during their initiation. The great psychic yoga breathing should become the basic practice of the yogi. It should be done in the morning on awakening for 30 to 60 minutes, and in the evening before sleeping. You can do it even as you lie down, but the spine must be absolutely straight. It is necessary to keep this true technique secret and give patients only its basic principles. The great psychological breathing is the door to all the ways forward. Aum.
In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. And the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.